I'm Sheila D, and this is She Unrestricted, where strength meets healing and elevation begins. If you're new here, I'm so glad you found this. But if you're not, you already know. This is not a space where we perform and we're okay. This is where we tell the truth and we lay everything down with no restrictions. Now, today's episode, I almost didn't record. And if you've been with us, this is our first live video, so bear with me. But it's not because I didn't record because I didn't have the words. It's because this is a topic in which I never really even shared before, not because I didn't feel comfortable, but because I just didn't know. I just wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready, and it's been a long time. And so we're going to dive into some things today, and today we're going to talk about rejection. And this is specifically what rejection does to your body, not just your feelings, but your confidence and your body. I'm going to share something super personal today. Again, something that I've never talked about, but because I truly believe that someone watching this needs to hear this. So stay with me because today we're laying it all down. Okay, so I want to talk about what rejection does to your body. And a lot of us don't know, but physical and emotional rejection, it triggers something in our body. And I'll talk about what that does. So I did research on this because I wanted to make sure that this was super factual because I want to make sure that you or the person that's watching understands, what rejection is and how it affects your body. So Ethan Cross from the University of Michigan states that brain processes rejection just like physical pain. There's a secondary somatosensory cortex and a dorsal posterior insula that's in the back of your head. Those are the same regions that are activated for social and physical pain, social rejection and physical pain. And those things have been confirmed via MRI brain scans. And so I know maybe some people are saying, well, you're being dramatic. No, you weren't being dramatic. Your body was essentially telling you the truth on how you really felt. Now, I want to talk about also the nervous system and rejection. And so the science based facts states that chronic rejection, so habitual rejection, rejection consistently equals a chronic stress response. And that's what happens when that happens is your cortisol level rises, inflammation rises, and your body starts to act all weird. Your nervous system also shifts into a protection mode. And so I don't know if you ever heard of fight or flight. That is exactly what happens when your body is rejected or it is going through rejection. It enters a flight or fight mode. So elevated cortisol over times, and I'm not a doctor. This is just research that I did for myself because I wanted to know all the rejection that I experienced in my life, my body has suffered physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. My body has suffered. And I was wondering why, and I did a lot of research to understand why my body is going through what it's going through. But listen to this. Elevated cortisol over time is linked to severe fatigue, insomnia, digestive issues, weight changes, tension headaches. I don't know, but when my kids stress me out, I get the tension headaches. When they're loud or rambunctious and they're not listening, I get the tension headaches. And that is your somatosensory cortex and then your dorsal posterior insula. Those things are affected. So when you start feeling the pressure in your head, you start getting those tension headaches. Think about what stress levels you are under. Now, your body does store unprocessed emotional pain as that muscle tension, as the chest tightness, as the appetite reduction or inflection. Your body is not being dramatic. It's simply documenting what you're going through. So, I want to talk about dismissing those symptoms and what it does to your body. So, oftentimes, like right before recording this, I was experiencing a headache. And I was like, so let me just go ahead and pop some aspirin. I did that and it went away. But as I was as I was beginning to record this podcast, I was thinking I didn't just suppress the stress. And there was some rejection that happened prior to me recording this as well. And I was thinking to myself, I didn't suppress, I didn't address, I suppressed. I suppressed it with Advil. I suppressed it with, perhaps drinking more water, getting some electrolytes. I suppressed it, but really, I didn't address it. So, what happens when we suppress rejection and we don't address it, our body is affected. So, I'll say that again. What happens when we suppress rejection and we don't address rejection, our body is affected. And so, a while back, actually recently, I was struggling with fibroids. And a lot of research, a lot of research. I did a lot of research. I suffered for many years with fibroids. Probably close to 14 years with fibroids that I know of, right? And so my body over time was signaling something that I didn't know. Now, a lot of research shows that fibroids is a result of stress, inflammation, a whole lot of other things that I won't get into today. But I suppressed it and I accepted it, but I didn't deal with it, which is why I suffered for so long. And oftentimes, that's what we do in our lives when we experience rejection from family, work, which I talked about in a previous episode. Um, our body, it suffers, and our body tends to accept it. Then our body starts going out of whack. And what we don't do is we don't address it as women. We're conditioned just to continue to plow through it. And one other science-based fact is Bessel van der Kolk says that the body keeps score. Trauma stored somatically equals to the body holding unprocessed pain. Trauma and repeated rejection live in the body, not just your memory. So as we are holding on to that trauma and or even just the rejection, because maybe we don't go to therapy and we just say, we're gonna just wait for it to flow over. We're not really addressing it. We're suppressing it. And, just like I talked about, women are conditioned on moving through, pushing through, being the strong one, where we intellectualize pain and we just push through it and we don't really address it. And so the body will find its ways to speak through different illnesses, pain, insomnia, exhaustion, if we don't listen to it. And so I want to say this, your body is a messenger. It's not your enemy. It is the way of communication because our body is saying, hey, wait, wait, wait. You need to take care of yourself. Stop. I'm not doing well. But what we do is we take an Advil and we keep it pushing. And so I want to take this moment to speak to the individual right now who's watching this and saying, it's time for you to stop. It's time for you to process. Stop suppressing and start accepting and addressing. I want to talk about a time where my body experienced rejection. And I didn't realize it, and I was super unaware of it when it happened. Um, when my husband and I first got married, we've been married for going on 16 years. When in the first year of our marriage, we got pregnant. And it was like, we were like, we didn't really know what to do. We were happy, excited, but we were like, man, this is so early on in our marriage. We wanted to enjoy each other, enjoy life, travel, and things like that. Well, we ended up getting pregnant. About 12 weeks into the pregnancy, I started to bleed. And mind you, this is my first pregnancy, so I'm panicking. I call my doctor and I asked my doctor, like, hey, what should I do? And she said, well, she started assessing, asking all these questions. Is it a lot? What's going on? And I'm answering them. And she said, well, just lay down, put a pad on, and see how it goes. So I did just that. I laid down, I put a pad on, but I couldn't just lay down because I felt like my body was rejecting the baby. So I get up, I go to the bathroom, and there's a gush of blood that comes out. And I remember it so vividly, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to talk about it without getting emotional. Um, but I remember it so vividly when I went to the bathroom, there was a sack that came out, and it's like I was so distraught. I sat by the toilet and I cried. I cried for so long. My husband was at work. I think I called my brother, um, and he was gonna come over, but I think he might have been in the area. And I just remember crying because I felt the weight of rejection that my body carried in that moment. It was so heavy. So I called my doctor and I said, "Hey, I think I passed the baby." And so she said, "What I want you to do is I want you to take the sack, put it in a bag, bring it over to me so I can test it." And I was just like, "You want me to do what?" And I was just like, I'm already in shock. I've never experienced anything like this. So I reach in the toilet, I grab the baby, and you can clearly see the fetus. And I put the baby in a bag, a Ziploc bag, and I took it to my doctor. Um, when I got to the doctor, she made she checked me, examined me, and she told me, "You have fibroids." That was the first moment that I ever heard of fibroids. The very first moment. And I did not even know that my body had experienced rejection before I even rejected the thing that I wanted. So she said, "You have fibroids. You will never be able to have a baby or carry a baby until you get rid of those fibroids." Now, me being in my faith, I was like, I don't receive that. I don't receive it. And that's a whole nother story, a different story. But she told me that, and I went home and I cried for days, maybe even weeks. We had two bedrooms. I was in our second bedroom, dark, didn't come out. My mom came over, my siblings came over, and I think my husband was like, she's just in the room, she won't come out. And I kept bleeding, and the bleeding was a reminder of my body rejecting something that I wanted. And so I wasn't mad at God, I wasn't mad at Him. I was upset at my body for rejecting the very thing that it was created to do. And so I would just look in the mirror and be like, what is wrong with your body? What is wrong with your body? And I was in a dark place for a very, very long time. And I don't wish this on my worst enemy. It was to the point where I just was cramping. I was bleeding. It would not stop. And I remember being in the shower and it was just gushing. It was just gushing and I punched the shower. I punched the wall. And I know I'm not that strong. So I just chalked it up to the wall just being made of plastic or whatever. But I punched a hole in it and I just I just swept in the shower, just in a fetal position, asking my body why. And that was the weight of rejection that I felt. I was so scared to even get pregnant again because what the rejection did to my body and what it did to my mind and how it felt. And those physical symptoms, I did not connect to rejection at all. Now, the miscarriage, it's the aftermath that no one prepares you for, the dark place, body grieving in a way that it has no script for, the guilt that carries along with it. That silence in its own, it was rejection. I was essentially rejecting my own pain, isolating myself. I had a hard time accepting it. And oftentimes that's what we do in life. From the most minute pain to the most greatest pain. We isolate and we don't accept and we don't really address. Throughout that time, what got me through, honestly, most, if not all of my rejection, is turning to Psalms 139:14. And it says, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. And I encourage you to utilize that scripture, Psalms 138:41. I'm sorry, 139:14. Don't just recite it, sit with it and say, do I believe this about my body? Whatever is going on. It may not be fibroids, it may not trying to conceive, it may be something else going on with your body. But don't change your perspective from what is wrong with my body to what is my body telling me? How can I accept and address, right? Therapy, grief counseling, resting without guilt, those things are ways you can help. Movement is not punishment. Addressing and accepting is how you move on, is how you heal. I want to also give you permission to seek support. We're building a community here of women who want to live life with no restrictions, who want to talk about the truths that no one will talk about, who want to share pain and sit with people who understand. I mean, to collaborate and not compete, to lay things down at the feet of Jesus, knowing that we need to, knowing that we have people that are not going to condemn us, but who will support. And that's the community that we're building here. It's not a sign, permission to do those things is not a sign of weak faith. It's a sign of strength. You taking a hold of your life in your body and doing what you can to make sure it's not a weight and laying it down. So I want to implore you to reflect today to think about what is your body carrying right now? What is your body carrying that you haven't given yourself permission to name? Is it the chronic fatigue? Is it the insomnia? Is it the weight of control? What is it? Because the weight of control can take a hold on your body. It can cause anxiety, tension. It could cause a lot of other things. But what is your body carrying that you are not naming? What I do every morning, without fail, I do a 30-second check-in with my body. I take a deep breath. Actually, take three, and feel free to do that with me. One more. Ask your body, how are you feeling today? How are you going to take care of yourself? And what are you going to lay down today? Another thing I do is I do affirmations. I'm a firm believer in affirmations. My kids do it. We all do it because what you say and what you put into the atmosphere, you ultimately will believe and could come to fruition if you believe it enough, right? I always say, I wake up and I say, God, this is your day. I am your child. Do with me what you would have for me to do. Give me wisdom to do what I need to do to accomplish everything that I need to accomplish. I am healthy. I am whole. And my body operates the way that God created it to. So I implore you, you can take that affirmation as yours or create your own. But I want you to make this declaration over your body. And you can repeat after me. My body is not a reflection of my value. It is a reflection of grace. I release the guilt I have carried for what my body has or has not done. I choose to listen. I choose to heal. I choose grace. I am fearfully and wonderfully made, even now, especially now. So I want you to declare that over your body in your life. And if you feel like you need to listen to this podcast again, and this is not for everyone, but it is for you. And if you know a girl, a woman who needs to hear this, please share, send it over to them, and let them know that this is a space where they can lay it down. I'm Sheila D, and you've been listening to She Unrestricted, where strength meets healing and elevation begins. Until next time, have strength. Until next time, be healthy, be healed, be whole. And don't forget that you too can lay it down.